So over the years, we've conducted hundreds of different assessments across multiple industries, and we found there's 5 particular processes which are really inefficient and paper intensive.
One of the processes that we typically see that's very inefficient is the expenses of a company. Obviously particularly important to a lot of people. Everyone likes getting their expenses approved. We often see in companies that people are printing off lots of receipts, they're keeping them in their desks, and then they're taking all of them, they're giving all of them to the accounts department. And so what we look to do is to digitize this process. There are apps on the Xerox devices for some of the most common expense systems such as Concur, which can take an image of all of these and automatically classify and quantify these receipts, which leads to huge time savings for the accounts department and also the people whose expenses it is, who are often some of the highest fee earners within the industry. So it really saves a lot of time of some of the most important people within the company.
So one of the most paper intensive departments that we come across, the accounts department. More often than not, these departments are inundated with paper on a daily basis and reliant on processing that information. We often find that there's lots of legacy systems in place, and the link for those systems to talk to each other is really reliant on the information which is needing to be printed and manually input by someone in that department. Through our analysis, what we look to do is quantify the time spent on the invoice process, and through that we can show what the time savings would be and the steps saved by giving a digital alternative.
So we recently conducted a study of the accounts payable team at a financial institution, and we found that the average worker there was only processing 20 invoices per day, and we thought there was definitely scope for improvement there. And by digitizing part of the process, by automating part of the process, we managed to completely reduce the time it took to process the invoice by cutting out many of the waste steps, and they could then process 4 times as many in a day. One of the most inefficient processes we see is scan to email. Previously, 10 years ago, it was probably the height of technology in the office. It was really speeding up people's ability to share information, share physical documents. But times have obviously moved on, and most of the time we're scanning things, it's not for the purposes of emailing them to someone else. So there are many different ways we can scan directly to a network drive, we can scan directly into a CRM system or a case management system, or straight into any sort of cloud storage system that companies are increasingly having these days. And that can often cut processes from being 3 or 4 minutes long per document down to 30 seconds per document. With one of the large law firms that we work with, we realised they were scanning a lot to email, and we went in to talk to one of their offices and to see how we could help to improve this process. We found that it was taking on average 3.5 minutes over a 14-step process to scan something and to put it into their case management system. By introducing and by automating this process, we managed to reduce that down to 30 seconds, which is an efficiency increase of 85% over the scanning process. So we see that probably the most paper-intensive process is the production of monthly, quarterly reports for board meetings, for clients, and what have you. And although there's not necessarily a quick fix for this, it's certainly one where the paper is probably not needed in the first place. It's bad paper, as we would say. It's all about changing user behavior with this regard. Instead of printing a 50-page document 10 times, can these really just be opened on laptops, on tablets in a meeting, and really drive down paper, saving a bit of money and saving a lot of paper in the organisation.
Part of our analysis, we often see there's a spike at the end of every quarter for the printing of quarterly reports. This paper is quite often disposed of after these meetings, and through our analysis we can help to quantify what savings could be made if there was alternative collaboration tools that could be used instead of the printing of these documents.
There are many apps built into Xerox devices that allow us to scan either directly to a OneDrive or directly into a CRM system and automatically classify the document itself. That then leads to huge time savings for these employees, less misclassification of documents from things ending up in the wrong places, and less issues with the renaming of files that we always struggle with on a day-to-day basis. So it really leads to huge efficiencies for the end user.
One key area, particularly within the legal industry, is the handling and processing of mail, both incoming and outgoing. And through our assessment tools that we've helped shape the way in which a lot of legal firms handle and process that mail and can add efficiencies through hybrid mail solutions.
This hybrid mail solution often takes the shape of an AI capture scanning technology that's automatically routing the mail to the right person or department. That obviously saves a huge amount of time. It massively reduces the error and the overall time it takes to get that document to the right person. And it already reaches them in digital form, which allows the rest of the workflow carrying on from that point to remain in digital form.